On Get Up, and it was a tough night for the Warriors in a variety of different ways last night. One of their problems, transition defense, and that begins with that good quick pass. See how quickly the Raptors, off a miss, are up the floor, and they get the easy layup there from Danny Green. Now we'll go second quarter action, more of the same. Steph Curry gets to the rim, no good, and watch Kawhi Leonard. You know he'll get the ball up the floor quickly. He will find Lowry, who finds a trailing Marc Gasol. You see some discombobulation in that Golden State defense. Again, the transition defense, not good at all. Fourth quarter last night with the Warriors down 9. Once again, it starts with a quick pass off the rebound. Look at that. Gasol gets it, and boom, they're off and running. It's Siakam, pushes the break, draws the defense wide open. Danny Green in the corner. Warriors lose game 1 by 9. They'll need to get it back in game 2 on Sunday.
The biggest thing for me was our transition defense was just awful, and that's the game. That's the number one priority when you play Toronto. You have to take care of their transition, and we gave up 24 fast break points. We turned it over 17 times, so that's the game, really. We'll have to get back on defense next game and really limit their transition points, make them beat us in the half court. Yeah, we did a good job limiting Kawhi, but it's not Kawhi Leonard, and it's the Raptors, so we'll go back to the drawing board and see what we can do better for Sunday.
Let us go live now to Toronto. Stephen A. Smith is standing by, getting ready for First Take, which is 25 minutes away, and they're live in Toronto. So Steve, I'm going to set it up with you the way I did with these guys. If I told you yesterday the Splash Brothers would score 55, Draymond would have a triple-double, and Kawhi Leonard would only make 5 shots, we never would have thought the Raptors would win the game. So what happened?
Well, what happened is that Steph Curry and Klay Thompson really didn't have any help offensively. The fact is Steph Curry did his thing. He was getting doubled, but he got limited assistance. Klay Thompson did his part to some degree. Obviously, we've seen him be more explosive in the past, but he did his part to some degree. But Andre Iguodala was no factor whatsoever, and I think that was key because he's going to have opportunities where he's got open threes, whether it's from the wing or from the corner. He's going to get those shots. They're going to dare him to shoot those shots. They're going to dare Draymond Green to shoot perimeter shots, and if they can't show you the ability to do so, then you've got yourself a problem. In the case of the Toronto Raptors, obviously you did a great job from Iguodala and others in terms of defending him, switching on him, doubling him, getting the ball out of his hands. But Siakam was a monster last night. Hit 14 to 17 shots, finished with 32 points. Gasol was a factor as well. 20 points on 6 of 10 shooting. When he was in the game, they went to him. So it really comes down to this. Not only do you have athleticism and size, but the ability to switch on Toronto's part obviously proved to be to their advantage because when they doubled up or switched on Steph Curry, he got no help. But when they did it, when the Warriors did it to Kawhi Leonard, he had loads of help, a three-headed monster. Siakam, Gasol, and Van Vliet coming off the bench to drop 4 3-pointers. So it's really about those other players, not the marquees. Kawhi Leonard is going to do his thing, but it's almost one of those situations where you got to sit back and ask yourself, is it a better strategy for the Golden State Warriors to let Kawhi Leonard just go ballistic, get his, but neutralize everybody else, at least for big chunks of the game, so they'll be cold? That way, when you transition to really getting the ball out of Kawhi Leonard's hands, the other guys didn't catch a rhythm, and you could throw them off kilter. It's the kind of strategy that they're going to have to think about. They can talk about their transition defense all they want to, and it's nice and it's accurate, but that's not the biggest thing. The biggest thing is that the supporting cast of Steph Curry did not show up, which elevates the significance of Kevin Durant's absence. We can't ignore that, and it's also really, really about just stepping up and somebody making a contribution on the offensive side of the ball. It's really that simple.
You sort of took me to my next question, and so I will lead you there further. Did you get the impression watching this game last night that the Warriors will need Durant if they're going to win the series?
Well, hell yes. That's the immediate answer, number one. But number two, I would say to you this. Despite the absence of offensive production from anybody outside of Steph and Klay, the Warriors were still in this game and still in position to actually win this game. So you got to take that into consideration. But in the end, listen, it's the injury bug too. Iguodala is not healthy, and he got hurt in the fourth quarter again, from what I'm hearing. Boogie Cousins comes off. He comes back after a 14-game absence. absence from getting hurt in Game 2 of the Western Conference first round. He couldn't even give you 10 minutes, or Steve Kerr elected not to use him for at least 10 minutes. And, of course, KD is out. So this team's got the injury bug. They're not 100%. They're being hampered. And then you've got the other guys for Toronto showing you that they are a team, particularly defensively. We knew they were an elite defensive team coming into the series. They proved that last night. But there is no way on earth that Pascal Siakam, he's my most improved player. He can ball, but 32 points on 82% shooting? What on earth is going on? That's not something that can be allowed. That cannot happen. That just can't happen.
And then one final thing. Again, Siakam, clearly was brilliant last night. The last player to put up those numbers in a finals win was Michael Jordan in 1991. Final thing they want me to ask you, we saw you courtside speaking to Drake before the game last night. What can you tell us about that conversation?
My conversations with people like Drake and others are between us. I don't divulge that level of information, even though I work for ESPN. The fact of the matter is I honor a code when I have private conversations with people. I keep it private, but let's just sit up there and say, I let Drake know how I feel about this series, going into the series, and in the aftermath of the game, I'm sitting here looking like Austin Powers, like Dr. Evil or somebody. Oh, I got to think about it now. Oh, damn. I shouldn't have said that. Oh, so I'll just leave it at that. Let's just say that Drake was very, very confident, and his confidence was validated on this particular day, but it's still a series.
Well done, Stephen A. We're looking forward to it. 20 minutes from First Take here live on ESPN. You guys down there, or up there, I should say, in Toronto. Thank you, Stephen A. We will see you shortly as you guys get started here in just a couple.
The finals feel like
whatever it takes to win.
And we're down to the last two for the NBA title. Siakam has done it all tonight for Toronto. What a night for this young man. Pascal Siakam with a 32-point game in his first appearance in the NBA Finals.
So a variety of surprising ways we find ourselves at Raptors 1, Warriors nothing after one game of these NBA Finals, with Pascal Siakam having one of the genuinely great finals games of all time. Kawhi Leonard somewhat quiet with 23 last night, and the Splash Brothers getting theirs, and no one else from the Warriors really doing much. So with our group here, let's start looking ahead now and gauging expectations for Game 2. I want to start with something Stephen A. just said. And we actually heard Klay Thompson in the soundbite that we played right before Steve came on, suggesting we did a good job. This is him talking about their defense against Kawhi. It was everyone else that beat us. And Stephen A. was suggesting maybe you reverse the strategy going forward. What are you looking at?
I'm not into this strategy thing, right? Look, the Warriors, I say this. There is an effort that needs to be shown in the NBA Finals. It just wasn't there for them. You can talk about Kawhi and Pascal Siakam and what he did, and he won't do this again. So you might not want to change your defense because it worked, except for a guy was on fire. You just need to play a higher level of defense. We saw one of Pascal Siakam's layups. He just ran right by Klay. He was on the baseline and in the deep corner, and look at this one. Well, they were about to show up. But look, if you're just going to be that type of defensive team, the Warriors have been dominant because they are the best offensive team and one of the top 2 or 3, if not the best defensive team. They need to get back to just playing harder and more aggressive than everyone else.
If I'm Steve Kerr, there's no way in hell I'm changing up my strategy. Kawhi made 5 field goals last night, because of the strategy. So, all right, Spicy P, if this is who you are, be that way the next 6 games.
Yeah.
You want to average 35? If you're going to beat us, we'll take that chance. We'll take that chance. I mean, I think the strategy is correct. It's just a matter of whether Toronto can sustain that type of play, which a lot of people aren't sure of.
A lot of it is going to depend on the health of Andre Iguodala and maybe later Kevin Durant, because it's easy to say, we shouldn't send so much help at Kawhi Leonard, but if Klay Thompson has to be the primary guy guarding Kawhi Leonard, I think Kawhi will figure that matchup out and overpower him and be living in the paint and at the foul line, and you can't win like that. The reality is we talk about these as extremes. You either send help or you don't. The Warriors are the best team in the league, or to Richard's point, have been, at living in that in-between zone of helping but not helping too much, of helping but recovering. And they just have to be better at that.
Look, I'll say this. I picked Warriors in 6, so certainly Toronto winning Game 1 at home doesn't feel like a surprise. It plays into that narrative. But what I will admit to having sort of changed my view on watching the game last night was how much I think the Warriors need Kevin Durant. Like, I was sitting here all week long saying they win this series even if Durant doesn't play at all. And last night shook my confidence in that. Does anyone else feel that way? Like, did that change anyone's mind? The way I saw the Raptors able to defend the Warriors, rusty or not, they need another scorer, I think, to win this series.
They do to give themselves a little gap. But I look at a lot of those shots that Steph missed that would have rolled in. And then you, like, on the other side, you look at how many kind of in and outs that dropped for the Toronto Raptors, right? You had the Van Fleet 3, you had multiple shots by Siakam. So I think they just played great and they shot the ball well. I still think that the Warriors did enough on the offensive end. They scored 108 points. They just had zero resistance on the defensive end. Now, this is what we're talking about. Zero resistance from the Golden State Warriors is not what we're accustomed to seeing, and we can give credit to the Toronto Raptors.
How do you explain that in the NBA Finals? Is that a function of having had 9 days off and you just can't have that sort of sharpness and focus?
I think it's rust. I also think it's the teams that they played against. I mean, the Houston Rockets don't play defense like that.
Yeah.
I mean, Portland doesn't play defense like that. And granted, they look great against Portland, but it's like, you know, you saw Enes Kanter all the way down the screen. They had wide open shots. Like, this is NBA Finals basketball. It takes a second to kind of get recalibrated to the physicality of the game.
Yeah.
How about Van Vliet? This is a guy who I don't know that anyone had ever even heard of him, except that he has this somewhat unusual name as recently as 2 weeks ago. And all of a sudden, he has become, Zach Lowe, like a really important piece of what they're doing on both ends of the floor.
Hold on. I think Fred VanVleet finished third in most improved player voting last year. He makes $9 million. He's a good player.
He did not have a great season. He did not build.
He took a little step back this
And
season.
again, Pascal Siakam, you know, took a step up. But I think Van Fleet, like, he just now showed up in this postseason. I think that's what Greeny's kind of bringing up.
Well, they had different
end
depth
of
too,
the
because they had
Bucks
OG Anunoby as well, who got hurt too, who was really coming along. So this team has always had depth, but I would agree with you on Fred VanVleet.
This season felt to me like it was obviously all about Kawhi, and then it was about the emergence of Pascal Siakam, and everything else felt as though it sort of fell into the background. And what I'm saying is, when I was looking over the MVP odds that Hembo gave me before the series started, I didn't even find the name Fred VanVleet. It wasn't even listed on there, and all of a sudden he's emerged as one of their most important players.
And the guy I don't think we've talked about enough so far on the show is Marc Gasol. Because Marc Gasol, 20 points last night. Every time they switched, like, this wasn't the case in prior series. Every time they switched a smaller player on him, he went right to the rim, got help and kicked it out or scored. He wasn't able to do that against Tobias Harris or Milwaukee. It was a huge game for Marc last night.
And when that brings one then to Boogie Cousins. Does he start to play more? Do you need more from him? And can they get more from him going forward?
Well, you're just going to need more from everyone. But this is, I think when you see Marc Gasol be awesome like he was, I think that's where you see Kevin Durant. Because if you can go 5 small that can score and move, it makes it tougher to play a big player like Marc Gasol and for him to be dominant.
I will say Boogie's passing last night for not playing basketball as long as he has. His passing is next level type passing.
Yeah.
You just need guys to knock down shots.
Yeah, the point was made. Not only has he been out since April 14th, he basically hasn't played 16 out of the last 19 months at all. So it is whatever he gives them in this series feels as though it will be an enormous plus. We are looking forward to what should be a really interesting sports weekend, including Game 2 on Sunday night, and we hope you'll get up with us on Monday morning. Wall-to-wall NBA Finals. Will Kawhi and the Raptors take a 2-0 series lead? We'll have all the reaction and analysis. And as the series shifts west, do the Warriors need Kevin Durant to win this championship? Get up with us Monday morning. 80 legal to have this much insight and analysis.
Tell me what the hell is new compared to last week.
Ty Lue dodged the bullet, baby.
The Lakers are the Kardashians of the NBA.
Palm trees and mojitos.
The Hamptons are overrated.
Even Boogie knocking off Russ, still a good Boogie to have.
I'll probably just throw up right now. I think the MVP is going to be Aaron Donald.
I'm going to take Andrew Luck.
Is there a way that a non-quarterback in your mind could win the MVP?
You guys can fight about this all you want, and candidly, I find it delightful.
That's rude.
The commissioner of the NBA is here.
I do watch ESPN.
Thank you for doing that.
I will be going overseas, playing in the Australian Basketball League.
Elton John called. He wants to shoot.
Is that Laura Rutledge?
No, it's not.
No.
Who's the best player in the world?
27, 8-8 in his 16th season.
You're talking about LeBron James.
Come on, man.
DJ's working for LeBron.
Kawhi Leonard, Steph Curry, KD.
Where's LeBron James in that?
He ain't a part of this list right
to
now.
me, LeBron. DJ just walked off. I may walk off with him. It was a fun week here, and we're so glad you've chosen to start your week with us. Meanwhile, Women's College World Series rolls on tonight in Oklahoma City with 2 winners brackets, rivalry games at 7 and 9:30 Eastern. RJ's all fired up.
Let's go Arizona.
Taking on UCLA. Then it's Bedlam.
Let's go Arizona.
And Oklahoma State. You can always watch them on the ESPN app from absolutely anywhere.
Yeah.
All right, here was my favorite moment of the game last night. Cameras captured an interesting interaction between Drake and Steph Curry, where Drake appears to take something like he's taking a lock of Steph's hair. I don't know what he's doing there, but whatever it is he's doing, he then explained it by posting on Instagram, on his account there at Champagne Poppy, Steph Curry hair lint for sale on my eBay right now. Username Draymond shouldn't wear 23. So we got stuff going on. Speaking of Draymond, he was asked what happened between himself and Drake at the end of the game.
Just wanted you to talk a little bit about that post-game scuffle between you and Drake.
You got a question about basketball? It wasn't really a scuffle because I didn't hit him and he didn't hit me, or I didn't push him and he didn't push me. We talked. We barked a little bit, but I wouldn't necessarily consider that a scuffle.
All right, why did you laugh so loudly, Zach, when you heard him say, do you have a question about basketball?
Because I just feel these players have to sit up there and answer question after question. I can sympathize with him being like, really? We're gonna and then I did enjoy his transition into a very sophisticated discussion of what is and is not a scuffle. I thought he really
that
got
doesn't happen.
He
He went on a direct beeline towards Drake, though, by the way.
Let's defend the question for a moment here. It's the NBA Finals with the eyes of the world on you. Drake is one of the most famous people. He's probably the most famous person in the room, including Steph Curry, and the entire building.
Yes.
And you're going to have whatever, maybe not a scuffle, but you can have some kind of little direct moment with him there. You can't expect no one's going to ask you about it, right?
No, I agree with you.
Yeah, I'm only really thinking about this UCLA-Arizona softball game.
Yeah, well,
that's the only thing. I'm not worried about the Drake, Draymond scuffle. I don't.
We were talking at the beginning of the week. Will there be a Drake-Draymond confrontation? We got it, Zach.
Game one. Game one. You know, I was going to say I'm kind of sick of the media coverage of Drake, but I flipped all the other way. This is Toronto. This is his time.
Great.
Let Drake live his life. I'm all right with Drake.
Incredible.
This is his moment. This is the city's moment. Let him go crazy.
I'm in complete agreement. It is the drama that makes all of it
RJ
interesting.
just gets annoyed.
Good luck, Coach Candrea. Good luck. Go beat those Bruins. We're Drake and Drake.
Well, we know what RJ's paying attention to.
This is what I'm going to watch.
We will see Game 2 on Sunday. Thank you guys all for coming in here this morning. We will reconvene Monday morning, same time, same place, looking back at Game 2. But right now, live from Toronto, First Take is next.